Shalom Aleichem, Rabbi. It is Chanukah. Now it is the 7th night of Chanukah and Parshas Vayigash. Vayigash Elov Yehuda. And that is the showdown parsha between Yehuda and the king of Egypt, Yosef. And it is Chanukah. People say a Freilich and Chanukah. That's wrong. It's a Freilich of Purim, and a Lichtige Chanukah, and a kosher of Pesach. Pesach got to be kosher, and for women, of course, it should be a Freilich of Pesach. That's why second night Seder is very good for us chutzniks. At least the women get something out of it the second night when they're not so exhausted. So we say a Lichtige, a Chanukah Me'ira, a enlightened Chanukah. Now, Chanukah. Before we start by you guys, let's talk about this a minute. What do we say? Lahadlik ner Chanukah? Lahadlik ner shel Chanukah? Or lahadlik ner shela Chanukah? Now, what's the difference? Because lahadlik ner Chanukah means ner is Chanukah. That's all there is. There's no other mitzvah. Or do you say, no, lahadlik ner shel Chanukah, which means it's still Chanukah without the menorah, without this Chanukiah. It's still Chanukah. You can't say Tachnun, you can't do a Hesped, and you can't say say Tachnun, and no fasting. So it's still Chanukah, but you don't have the mitzvah of the menorah. Or is it a combination of both? That's why some people say L'hadik ner shel Chanukah, of Chanukah. And also, when you talk about the Al-Nisim, Al-Gvuras, Al-Tshuas, Al-Melchamos, 5 things. Anyone that has six things in there, that's not the original Ashkenaz, and is not original Sfard either. It's added later. The original is 5 things. Al-Nisim, Al-Gvuras, Al-Tshuas, Al-Melchamos, because at the end, there's also 6 things that the Jews did. Pinus, Heichalecha, Tiharim, T'Shecha, 5 things there at the end. And then Hashem did for us 5 things. It's 5, and 5, and 5 at the end. Isn't it interesting that Al Hanisim, what we say in Shemon Esrei, and Al Hanisim, which we say in benching, in Birchat Hamazon, there's not one word mentioned about the menorah? Not one. It's only about the war. Al-Nisim, Al-Nisim on the floors, Al-Nisim on Shuas, on Melchamos on the floors, nothing, Melchamos, nothing to do with the Pach Hashemen. And when you light the menorah, you say, Al-Neiros, Al-Olu, Al-Nachnu, Al-Likim, Al-Nisim, Al the floors, Al-Shuas, Al-Melchamos, She'osi Zolav Uzainu, Yom HaHem was Malazeh. Now the word about Pach Hashemen. Do you ever wonder about that? So that's why it says the Gemara, Shabbos Chabalov on the base, my Chanukah. What's Chanukah? It doesn't say ma, what? My, why? This mitzvah, is it based on that nace or that nace? The nace of the Pach Hashemen? Or the nace of the miraculous war, where a bunch of Kohanim defeated the Greek army? So the Gemara Paskins, and Chav Aleph and Shabbos, that's the Pach Hashemen. That's what the Gemara talks about, the whole Omer there. So why don't you mention it in Al Hanisim or Haneirus Halolu? Not a word. So we light the menorah in the window. People see about Chanukah. How they know it? How do they know that there was a miraculous battlefield miracle? Are we mechuyev to walk out in front of a house with a sword, or a military uniform, or in front of the shul, get up there on stage and look like a soldier for a half hour? How do you popularize the fact that there was a military victory by the few overpowering the many? So Zemayim Beis Hasheva Zeichet Tzadik Kodesh Baruch Hu says the following: every night of Chanukah, only the first light represents the Pach Hashemen. The others represents the military victory. On the first night, there was no miracle of light. They had enough for one light. So the first night represents the Melchama, the war that the few won over the many. The second light, the first one you light on the second night, that's the Pach Hashemen. The next one is the military battlefield. The last night, number 8, or 7, or 6, or 5, or 3, or 4 or 3 or 2. The first one you light every night is for the Pach Hashem, the first one. Because according to the minimum halacha, all you need is one light per night to be Yosef 100%. You want to be Mahader, he do a mitzvah, you light more. But the one is all you need to do the mitzvah of Hadlokas Ner Shel Chanukah. On the 8th night, the first one, on this side, going this way, that represents the Pach Hashem. And number 7 represents the military battle. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's the Hidur. That represents the military victories. That number, the 7th night, the 7th light, the first one that you light, that is for the Pach Hashem. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is for the battlefield. The 5th night is number 5. The first one you light is for the Pach Hashem. And 4, 3, 2, 1 is for the military battlefield. That's the Hidur mitzvah. You make the Pach Hashem Mahaderid by including into it also the tremendous military campaign. That was a super miracle. Now, isn't it interesting that the Chanukah comes out on last week's Parshas started on Miketz, because you see, Chanukah, Pharaoh had a Chanukah dream where the skinny and the weak swallowed the fat and the mighty. Exactly the Chanukah story. And there's many other simonim in the Torah that Chanukah is, even though Chanukah was 1,000 years after the Torah was given. The 25th word in the Torah is Or. And the 25th place where the people were traveled in the Midbar, the 25th location in the 41 places that they went in the 40 years was called Chashmono. And they were called, the people were called Chashmonoim. Chashmonoim. Because they came from Shimon HaTzadik. Shimon, they changed the Hey, Hashimonim. Changed the Hey to Ches. Hashimonim. Chashmonoim. His name was Hashimonim. They were all the children of Shimon HaTzadik. Shimon HaTzadik was the Kohen Gadol. And he had a son, Yochanan, Kohen Gadol, and his son Matisyahu. And Matisyahu's son, Yochanan. Some say they were all Kohanim Gadolim. The big machlok is, who was the Kohen Gadol? Matisyahu ben Yochanan Kohen Gadol? Or Matisyahu was the Kohen Gadol ben Yochanan? So there's a big discussion about that. And the first bracha you make on the first night is Birchas HaMitzvah. The other 2 are Birchas HaShebach. Because if you don't light Chanukah menorah and you're just traveling on the river or somewhere and you're not home, you don't have a menorah, but the first night of Chanukah you see the Chanukah lights, you have to make a bracha, not lahadlik, because you can't light, but you have to make the other 2. They're called Birchas HaShebach. You have to say on the first night Shosa Nisim and Shechianu. And if you see the first time you see the lights, even if it's on the 5th night, and it's the first time you see it, you have to make Shosa Nisim and Shechianu. If that's the first time you see it in Chanukah. It's called Bichas HaRoeh, the brachas of the seer. So if you're not going to light, you have to make, even if you don't see the Chanukah lights, if you remember it's Chanukah, you have to say Shosa Nisim, Lavaseno, and Shechianu. And when you see the lights, it's a bigger mitzvah to do it when you see them, even if you're not lighting them. It's called Bichas HaRoeh, the brachas of the seer. Oh, by the way, before we go any further, a few people called me this week about, I mentioned always for the last few months, if you want another stream of income to enhance your panosa, give me a call on my cell, 845-826-4789. This is my cell, 24 hours a day. You can call me 6 days a week. 845-826-4789. 4789. Another stream of income. Another panosa besides the one you have, or if you don't have any. It could be very helpful. Okay? I don't want to overemphasize that. I'm involved. It's a godsend. Okay. Now, Torah Anytime is having a $100,000 drawing for $100. 1 ticket, $100. 2 tickets, $180. 3 tickets, $250. 7 tickets, $500. And on January 18th, you could win $100,000. Last year, my neighbor, a young lady, 18 years old, 19, won $100,000 for a ticket, $100 ticket. And if you go on this website, which you're on, you'll see the promotion. Torah Anytime. My picture's on here somewhere in the middle. We have 12,000 lectures, 300 plus speakers, about 1 million hours of Torah. So it's kedai to give money to Torah Anytime. And if you want to tune me in on rate telephone, I have 2028 shiurim on Kol Haloshon, 718-395-2440, 2440, and then when your man speaks, as soon as you get connected, you press 11101. 11101, and let us now start Vayigash. Vayigash Elov Yehuda. So now they were brought back, the 11 brothers, because they were conned by Yosef. They had a big party, they got drunk the night before, they drank and they had a party, and then he gave Binyamin 5 times as much as the others, a gift. He wanted to see if the old jealousy is still there. And there's another reason. When they sold Yosef, they sold it for 20 dinarim, 20 silvers. And 20 silvers, 20 dinarim is 5 shekels. Because 4 dinars make 1 shekel. 20 make 5. So they, together as a group, benefited 5 shekels. Binyamin wasn't there, so he lost out. So he gave him 5 times as much at the Su'udah than he gave them. And then he had his silver cup planted in the saddle and the grain bag of Binyamin and sent him away. And the next morning, as soon as they left town, Yosef told the one over his house, the chief of staff, who happened to be his 10-year-old son Menashe, chased 2 people and accused them of stealing my Gavia, and they said, Chalila b'chas, we never did that. How could we? And then they said one of the 10 Kal V'chomers in Tanakh, 4 of them in Chumash, and 6 of them in Nevi'im, Kesuvim. They said, we brought money back from Canaan that you didn't even know about, that you put in our salad bag. We brought the money. Somebody put it back in our bag. We don't know who did that. We're wondering who did that. And now we should steal off the table of our master, the Kal V'chomer. If you can't pick up 1 pound, you can't pick up 100 pounds. If we brought back money that you don't even know about, we're going to steal from you. One of the 4 Kal V'chomers in the Chumash and 6 in the Tanakh, 1 of 10. So they're ready now to take on Yosef, because this is the second time they're being set up. The first time the money was put back in the bag. The second time the money was put back, plus the Geviyah, the silver coast of Binyamin. And now they're ready to take on Yosef, because he swore Yehuda to his father, I'm bringing him back, not dead or alive, alive. And I'm going to put him in front of you. Otherwise I'll send to you Kol Hayomim, all the days of this world and the next world. And Yehuda took charge. And they were not afraid when they realized that they made him take down all the bags, the end of last week's Parshas, and they started with the older one, they just to increase tension. Open the bags, nothing there. Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisrael, Zulun, Don Naphtali, God of Usher, Yosef. Of course, Yosef was the king. Binyamin, they found it in Binyamin. And they said, before they took down the bags, any one of us who has stolen shall be mace, he will die. And as soon as they noticed it was in Binyamin's bag, they tore Kriya. Because they just declared his death. And so it was. All of the brothers lived 120 or more. Binyamin lived less, 115. Of course, Yosef lived 110 because he was supposed to live 120. But he heard the expression, Avdecha Avinu, your servant, our father. And the Melitz translated 5 times, so 5 and 5 is 10. 10 years was taken off his life. Instead of 120, he lived 110. But Binyamin died 5 years before 120 because they said a terrible thing. Now they tore their clothes because they knew what their father did with Rachel. Lavan said, who took my truffin? He says, the person that took your truffin, Lo Yichya, will not live. Didn't say die, but it was Rachel, and he didn't know that, so she died. along the way, the 2-year trip home from Lavan. She died at 27 because he met her when she was 5 and he was 77. And then 7 years later, he was 84 and she was 5 and 12. Then they could sleep together. At 12, he had as a wife. And then he stayed there another 7 years. That is 5 and 7 is 12, 19, and 6 more years. 19, 25, and then on the road, 26, 27, she died. So he tore Kriya because he had just declared his wife's death. And Sarah did the same thing. She said she was angry at Avraham when he took Sarah and she got pregnant right away. 1, 2, 3, and he's living with Sarah. He's living with Sarah all the years she didn't have any children. So Hagar said, maybe she's not as strong as she looks. And he didn't defend his wife, Avram. And she knew about that through Nevuah. And therefore she says, Chamasi alecha, my fury is against you. Which means she paskined, he's guilty. So she died before him. So you say, well, she's 90, he was 100. I know, but you can live, even though you're 90, you live more than your husband. The women usually outlive the husbands. So she died before him. Rachel also died for another reason, not because Yaakov cursed her. She didn't die because of stealing. No, she died because Yaakov cursed her. There's no mitha for Geneva. Not for Yisrael. For Akum, yes. But not for Yisrael. She also said she died for another reason. She says, you don't give me children, if you do not give me children, she told Yaakov, I might like a dead person. Few things in this reason she died for. Another reason, she answered before her older sister Leah. Okay. Others says that, no. That's not a sin because Leah told her to talk to Yaakov. Shall we go back home after 20 years? Nah, because she was the one for whom Yaakov came. One wife, Rachel, he didn't come for Leah. He came for her, therefore he says, you speak up first because you was the reason why Yaakov was here. So they tore Kriya because they said, oh, he who has the Geviyah shall be mace. So they realized this was a trumped up charge, a con job. So they loaded up their donkeys and by Yikru Simlosum they tore their garments. By Yamos Ishas Chamoda they loaded up each one his donkey. By Yoshuva Ha'ira they came back to the town. Ira means a very little town. Well, the metropolis and capital of Egypt is not a little town. But to them, now that they're ready for action, because they're going to fight to the death now, the whole metropolis, whatever that name of that town was, is like an Ira, like a little city with a few people in it. They're ready to wipe out the whole Egypt. So they went back and they stood right. They went back to town and right away within a few minutes was standing in front of Yosef. Yosef said, "What did you do?" Didn't say anything about stealing. What did you do? What did you do last night? Don't you know a man like me needs that silver cup? The nachesh for nichush for kishuv. Yom Yehuda, he's taking charge. Ma Noma, what can we say to our master? Ma Nidaber, what could we speak? Ma Nitztadok, how can we become tzedek, righteous? Elohim Motzah Zavon Avalecha, God has found and uncovered the sin of your servants. It's not what you're talking about, the sin. No, we're not talking about that. There's something that happened 22 years ago. Hineni Avodim, we are servants, slaves. Ladoni to my master, even us. Even though the one that has the Geviyah in his possessions, we're slaves. Vayomi said, Chalila, God forbid. Leave for me, my to do a thing like that. You're not thieves. The man that the Geviyah was found in his possession. Hu yeli eved, he'll be my slave. V'atem and you, alush l'shalom. You can go, man, gentlemen. La'avicham, go back to your father. You're free to go, gentlemen. Why don't you just leave the boy here and you can free to go? Let's go back one pasuk before the drama hits top level. What can we say to our master? You know what that means? What can we say about the kesef, the first money that someone returned to us? obviously we didn't take the money. Somebody's trying to frame us. Mana the daber, what can we speak about the second money that was put in our sacks today? Manit tadok, how can we rectify ourselves? In the word tzedek. Nitz tadok, from the letters nitz tadok, you learn the following thing. Om Rab Nachman bar Yitzchak. How do you know that shorthand is one of the methods how you learn things in Torah? Shenemar ma nitz tadok. How do we rectify ourselves? Nitz tadok, nun, tzadi, tes, dalet, kuf. No trikin, shorthand. Nun, nechonim anachnu. We are absolutely correct people. Tzadikim anachnu. We are righteous people. Tehorim anachnu. We are pure people. Dakoyim, dako is in Aramaic for zakoyim. We're innocent people. Kedoshim anachnu. We're holy people. So we're totally innocent. This thing that we're caught has nothing to do with you, mister. It has to do with something we don't even know about. Something that happened to us about 22 years ago. God's putting the squeeze on right now. And now, that was the end of my case. Now comes Vayigash. The moment where Yosef walks into the house, here it says here, and he walked right in, and there's Yosef, Yehuda walks right in, and Yosef said, what did you do? He says, oy vey, we're caught by God. You can go, gentlemen. You're free to go. Just leave the little one here. Vayigash elov Yehudo Vayomer Bi'adoni. The moment of tension has arrived. Vayigash elov Yehuda. Yehuda walked right over to him. Vayomer, he says, Bi'adoni, please, my master. Yidaber no abdecho. Yidaber no abdecho dover. May I speak something? Ba'oznei Adoni, into the ear of my master. Don't get angry, I consider you like Pharaoh. You know what's just going on right now? This is the first time he was looking at him in his face. This is the first time he was standing up talking to a potentate. It's the first time he speaks up close, nose to nose. You can get yourself killed for that. You don't look at these people, you put your head down, you're kneeling on your ground, you have nowhere to look at him, you can't even get that close to him. Yehuda is ready for war, says Rashi. If you annoy me, I'll kill you and Pharaoh and the whole government, he said. Rashi. And the Vilna Gaon has something unbelievable here. Wow! Only a Gra can think about a thing like this. Those 6 words have trup. We call that nigun. Vayigash elov Yehudo. That's 3 words. Vayomer Bi'adoni. That's 6 words. The name of the trop, if you translate the name of the nigun, it translates the word of the pasuk. Vayigash elov Yehudo Kadmo v'azlo Revi. He got up, Kadmo. V'azlo, he went forward. Revi, the 4th son. Vayigash elov Yehudo. Vayomer Bi'adoni Zarko Munach Sego. Zarko he threw away. Munach is menucha in this world. And Segol, the Segula, the reward in the Olam Habo. He got up, Kadmo, V'azlo, and he walked. Ravi, the 4th one. Yigash elov Yehuda. Vayomer, and he said, Zarko, he threw away. The Adoni Munach is menucha in this world and in the next world, which means you're going to have to kill me, Mr. Or I'm going to kill you, because this boy's coming home with us, or we're all going to be slaves here. And he swore to his father that he's going to bring him back alive. Zarko, he threw away the chance to live a peaceful life. Munach, menucha here, and Segula, the Segula, the future. Let me speak something into your ear. You don't speak to someone into standing up eyeball to eyeball if he's a potentate of Egypt. You're like Pharaoh. So he says, I respect you like Pharaoh. And Rashi says, you will be punished like Pharaoh. Pharaoh makes gezeros and doesn't keep them. and you made promises and you don't keep them. You said you're going to lay your eye on this young boy, and you did, and now you want to arrest us, and you put this gavir in his thing to frame him. You don't keep your word either. And Pharaoh made a gezerah. The Egyptian government has rules that no foreigner could be a king. What are you doing as melech? No foreigner can wear government royal clothes. Why are you wearing them? So Pharaoh doesn't keep his word, nor do you. Im takniteni. If you annoy me, I'm going to kill you. Talking about two malachim, Yehuda's Melch Yisrael, and Yosef, and they didn't know who he was. They thought he was Sofnas Paneach. He's the king of Egypt. It's not a little country. It's the most powerful country on earth. I don't know. Shoal es avodav lemor. My master asked his servant, saying, "Hayesh lechem of o ach." Do you have a father or a brother? When we came here the first time, didn't say anything about a mother because Yosef knew there was no mother. But no, Eldoni yesh lana of zokein. We have an old father. He happens to be 130 years old. And a boy of his old age, very young. That's Benjamin. That's 7 years younger than Yosef. What do you mean Yeled? Yosef is 39, so he's minus 7, 32 years old. It's not a Yeled. Katan, he's not a baby. But these 10 brothers were going to give their life for this young man, as if you protect a little baby 1 year old. You're going to give your life for that. The Achiv Mason, his brother died. He said a sheker. Rashi said he didn't want to go into the whole thing. He's not really dead. Where is he? He came to Egypt 22 years ago as a slave, and they're going to have to go search for him. He didn't go through that, so he says he made a lie. But Yevasehu Lavado, and he stayed alone to Imo, to his mother, this Benjamin. His father loves him. But you said to your servants, to us, bring him down to me. I love and I want to put my eye on him. But no, we said to our master, he can't leave the old man. If he does, he's going to die. But and you said to your servants, to us, if the little brother doesn't come with you, see from the rose pond, you can't see my face anymore. Don't come back here. When we came back to your servant, our father. Now, he shouldn't have said that, your servant, our father. He did it, said it 5 times, and the mail is translated 5 times, so 10 years were taken off of Yosef's life. He should have said, your father's not my servant. But he didn't say anything, Yosef. We told him the words of my master, that can't come back here to buy food unless the young one was with us. Our father said eventually, Shuvu, return, get us some more food. We can't go back. Unless the little brother's with us. Then we'll go down. We can't see this man's face. We cannot see your face, we told our father. The little boy's not there. And so your servant, our father, said to us, you know, my wife only gave me 2 children. He only worked for one wife. He was tricked. He only came for Rachel, and she only had 2 children. My main wife gave me 2 children. One of them went away from me. V'yomer, and he said, Torov, he's certainly torn up. We're talking about Yosef. Torov means maybe the boys killed him, and Torov hints to Eshes Potiphar, who wanted to kill him as far as Ruchnius is concerned, to rob his holiness from him. I haven't seen him till now. Want to take this one also from thee? Also, maybe an accident will happen to him. Rather than they say, you're going to bring me down to Gehenna. You want to take this one, Zeh? This one? Zeh is 12. The 12th one you want to take? From me? Only thing I left. The mother died. One son of the mother is gone. Now you want to take the last son of that mother? Now come back home and come to your servant, my father. And then the boy's not with us. You know that they're both very tight. One soul is connected with the other. When he sees there's no lad there, he'll die on the spot. When he sees us coming down the road and he only sees 10, not 11, he'll drop dead right away. Do you want your servant, me, to bring down my father's life to the Gehenna just by showing up without him? Now, your servant, me, I guaranteed this young man with my life. If I don't bring her back to you, I'll have sin to my fathers all the days, this world and the next world. Now let me stay here instead of the boy. I'm stronger and bigger, and I know military strategy better than him, and I know government protocol, and I know I'm wiser than him. Let me take his place. Eved Ladonia, as a master to my servant to my master. Let the lad go up with his brothers. How can I see my father? The boy's not with me. I don't want to see the father in his evil state. I don't want my father to just go through this. Yosef couldn't control himself. Apek mayim is a well that holds water. Opek is a horizon that holds the sun back before it rises. Apike mayim is wells which contain water. Yosef couldn't hold himself back. The Chaim was talking about for all the guys standing around, the guards. A year ago, Yosef made an announcement. It's called Ishmael. Get every man out of here. Means all the guys, private security guards, should get out of there. And Yosef should stay alone with 11 bruisers, big, tall bruisers. You know they were tall. Because Yaakov told them to come into 11 different gates. Because if all came in one gate, they would think it's a raiding party. They can take over the country. They were so big and handsome and tall, enormous, good-looking. Yosef, the king, stays alone with 11 strangers, and he tells all of his bodyguards to get out. Nobody stayed with him, except the brothers. Until when Yosef made himself known to his brothers. And he started to cry. Now, the people listening behind the doors thought, the king has gone out of his mind. He's alone with strangers and he's crying. He has lost his mind. Yishmael Mitzrayim, the whole Egypt heard about this in a minute. It ran around the whole the king lost his mind. Yishmael based Pharaoh, and the house of Pharaoh heard this. Means, what are we going to do? The government will collapse. He's the wisest man in the country. He's running the country. He lost his mind. He's going out of his mind. He starts crying in front of strangers. Kings don't cry. The based Pharaoh, what is going on today? But Yom Yosef, he says, Yosef said to his brothers, I am Yosef. My father's still living. So his brothers could not answer him. They were in ultra shock. A man they're looking at for months, they don't know if there's a brother. And he said, I am Yosef. You know what that means? You are liars, because 1 minute ago you said, Ochiv Meis, his brother died. That's a lie, because here I am. And therefore the rest of the story is probably a lie. Is my father really living? Or, I'm Yosef. My father has to live through this. 22 years to be in a house with liars. Achzorim, you torture the old man. Ani Yosef, I know you're liars. My father, if he's living, has to live with you. He's not asking a question. He heard it 10 times that the father's living. He's telling him, you lied. You said that Ochiv Meis, and here I am. That's one lie. Probably the other thing is a lie too. Or if he's real living, you put him through this for 22 years. They couldn't say a word. Says the Gemara, his brothers couldn't answer him. Rabbi Lazar, came out to the high crow when he came to this pasuk. He cried himself. Omar, he says, a reprimand and a scolding from a human being. He says, they couldn't answer him. They were in shock. So much, 10,000 times more. When God comes one day to ask you after 120 years, Ani Hashem, what did you do with your life? A million times more. What are you going to answer? Now the Gemara wants to say, where do you see that he scolded them? Like we just explained. You're liars. Because you said, Ochiv Meis, and here I am. And even if you are telling the truth about father, that's the way my father had to live with a bunch of guys like you. What a musar that is. That Gemara is in Chagig Odaf, Peri Dalet, Mishnah Beis, or maybe Adab Dalet, Mishnah Beis, Omer Beis. So that's pretty strong, isn't it? It says here in a little note I wrote here, Kinev Halo Mi Panov. Prior to the moment when Yosef identified himself to his brothers, they had never looked directly at his face, which is why they didn't recognize him. Because of the halacha that it is forbidden to look at the face of a rasha. Every king of all the guys you come, these are Rishoyim. You're not allowed to look at them. You can look for 1 second, but you cannot allow to gaze at them, which they believed him to be. They didn't know. Now that he said, I am Yosef, they looked at him. And for the first time in their life, they were utterly astonished at his appearance. Nivhalu mi panov. They were astounded by his face. You know why? Because he looked exactly like the father. Eila told us Yaakov Yosef. Everything, 16 things I told you a few weeks ago that happened to Yosef happened to Yaakov. Their brothers hated him, and his brother hated him. He had to run away. He had to run away. Anyhow, he got to Bechorah, and he got to Bechorah. But he looked exactly like Yaakov. Wow, that was a shock. Let me just finish this. Yom Yosef Alecha Geshu Noi Lai. Come here. Don't be so scared. Come here. You talk to them quietly now. Geshu Noi Lai. Come to me. Vayigash. They came closer. Yom Ani. He spoke now in Lashon HaKodesh. Ani Yosef Achicham. I am Yosef, your brother. Hashem Achatam Osim Ahem Etzvaymo. That you sold me to Egypt. Nobody knows Hebrew here. Not even Pharaoh. I know Hebrew. Don't be angry. Don't be angry in your eye. Don't fight with each other and blame each other for selling me here. That you sold me here. God sent me here to keep you alive. There's 2 years of the hunger. Just 5 more years coming. There won't be any plowing and only kutzer. But he didn't know as soon as Yaakov came, it wouldn't be 5 years either. But he thought there were 5 more years. So you did a good job. You didn't realize it. God wanted me you here, so eventually I'll take care of you until 210 years. There'll be a big geula to keep you alive. Lefleito gedola, for a great redemption one day. And you're going to take my bones out here. He tells him at the end. We'll all go out together. Okay, Rabbi side, we are finished, and I hope you enjoyed this little Chanukah and Vayigash here. And we're learning in the name of the yard site is Thursday night and Friday of my mother, Zeichet Tzedekah L'Vrocha, Rachel Bas Chavar Avraham, Aleho Hashalom. She was 95 years old 7 years ago. And Dalit Teves, that's Friday. Zeichet Nishmas Imi Marasi, Tzedekah Rachel Bas Chavar Avraham. A good Chanukah, a good Chodesh. Today's Rosh Chodesh.